Hey, crafty peeps. I'm here today joining in on the Confessions of a Paper Addict YouTube hop. Virginia Walker, who goes by Gold Dove Crafts on YouTube and Instagram, and she has a Facebook group called Confessions of a Paper Addict, has opened up an Etsy shop for all her fabulous cut files. And I'm doing a layout today using the floral globe. I'll have a link down below to her cut shop, to all the details on this hop. There's going to be prizes. I'll talk more about that at the end, and I'll have a list of everyone in the hop for you to follow along. So I'm using my Felicity Jane kits. I've in the past professed myself as a not pink girly girl, but I have this fascination with the Felicity Jane kits. Her style is delightful. The colors are great. There's a softness to everything. There's tons of black and white and patterns that can go with anything. And not to mention, she has the most adorable ephemera, the silicone charms, the tags, little banners, vellum and acetate pieces, and I just am smitten with them. I did sub to her at the end of 2017, I think, for a few months, and then I decided that a lot of the stuff was accumulating. It was very similar colors, and like I said, not very pinky, very pastel-y kind of mood back then. But somehow I always ended up in her shop every few months, just loading up on stuff. And then this January, I actually won the Jill kit from Instagram. Yay, that was so good. And I decided to resub after I saw the kit, and I fell in love all over again with Felicity Jane. I'll be using her kits more in my scrapping because that style is really appealing to me now. I pulled out the Pink Fresh Studio semicircle pattern stamp set, and I checked. I don't have the die cuts. I couldn't find die cuts for this set, so I'll be fussy cutting them. I used the Ranger Archival ink in Fern Green, and I did a first generation stamp, which is the darker, and then I stamped again. That's called a second generation stamp to get the lighter color. I did want to mention the green paper off to the left. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing it's at least 5 years old because in the industry it's been hard to find true greens recently. I can't find the branding strip. It might have fallen in my recycling, and then that went out yesterday with the garbage. I did the rest of the fussy cutting off camera, and when I came back, not only did I have that, I had the inner parts of my globe stand that I cut out of the green paper. So let me clear everything off. This is a photo of me and my husband 19 years ago on our wedding. I wanted something to scrap that had the feel of the fancy floral. And this is my favorite photo from our wedding. And I like that we were on the bike. So when I saw the floral globe, I associated that with travel, and our honeymoon was a bike trip up and down Northern California coast. I know there's always this desire for fresh ideas with scrapping, and it's nice to know the background of how you associate what you're scrapping with what you're scrapping it with, the themes and the products. One of the things I've been challenging myself to do is to not be as much a literal scrapper as I have been in the past. So a globe, a wedding, I'm going for random. Before I glue the flower portion, I take my hole piercer, and there was just a few little small tags sticking here and there, and also just to make the really teeny holes slightly bigger. As I do this gluing, I'll recap what I've done so far. I picked the solid gray background. I flipped it so that the scallop on the bottom, that's the branding strip, is to the side. I want to use that as a design element. And then I did trim off the other end so that it's a 12 by 12. The cut file comes with the stand going on the other side of the globe. I ended up flipping it over because in the photos, we and the motorcycle are facing to the right. I didn't want the stand to be in the way. I wanted the field of view flowing off the side of the page and onwards. And then I had to recut the center portions because it's not an exact mirror image in the middle of the base. The FJ kits come with some fabulous packaging. The tissue paper is so yummy. So I thought I'd give it a try to use it behind here, but I couldn't make it work. I think just because the floral background is there, so I go to my fallback, which is vellum. I like that a lot better. To give it a little texture, I'm going to ruffle the bottom edge. I tried with my Tim Holtz distressor. I've never been able to make that thing work. I always end up using my nail, or in this case, the tonic scissors. I like how the smallest tonic scissors, I think they're called snips, worked on that vellum because it kind of tore off little bits rather than it looking like one fell swoop. It looks more random. I pulled a couple of tags and I wasn't sure if I was going to use them. I'm trying them out. I do know I want to use these labels because they are green. And then I start pulling out papers and the cards. The cards, I did find one I like. It is this little stripe, very delicate pink, that one there. I did not want to cut the card up, but I couldn't find anything else that I liked as much. I'm going to have to ask if they ever consider making that a full-size paper. This squiggly line paper from the Jill kit, I picked this one because the squiggles have movement and it reminded me a little bit of tire tracks. Not a whole lot is going to be showing, but it's just enough to give you that sense of it. And then I'll be using another strip of it later. Once I trim that down to size, I'm going to create some layers with that card. I will cut it in half because the spot that has the white area is going to interfere with the length of it, and also to save that extra spot. And this floral is left over from a couple of projects that I used it for. I'm going to have the link right now to the most recent one because it's really cute and it's not actually going to make it onto this layout. Cut the tag in half to use as well in a couple of spots and put my label in, and I'm liking how that's looking so far. That top left seems like a natural spot to add things to where it's joining up with the stand, and diagonally across down to the other side of the photo where it's joining up in the stand there. I'll start with some flowers and those sprigs that I stamped on both sides. I picked out a couple of bow elements. I wanted to make this one, the acetate, work, but something about having that background file just wasn't jiving with the acetate, the clear stuff for me. So I used the silicone bow instead. And I also wanted to make that paper clip work. You're going to see me try that out in several spots until I finally figure out something that I like. With the bow covering the bottom corner of the photo, I felt like it needed something on the top as well. So I tried out a couple things. I did cut a photo corner out of a piece of paper, but it was too white. So I'm going to go for one of the flowers. And it's a slightly different flower in scale to the other ones, but I'll end up using several that aren't from the same pack, but they're all flowers. So it all blends in pretty good. And so I have these pearls from Queen & Company, and I bought those way back in 2007. Over the years, I have actually thought, let me just get rid of these. I'm never going to use them. They're not my style anymore. But when I was looking at this cut file and thinking of all the open areas, and I was thinking I want some green things, I immediately remembered them and I thought they can go in the middle of all the flowers, and I love the effect, and I love the fact that I used them up finally. Here I am trying out the paper clip again. I wanted it to clip on top of the photo, but it looked naked unless something was clipped to the photo. I haven't stuck on what I want yet, so I'm going to give up on that and move on to the cluster at the top right along the edge with the scallop. So I liked the idea that it already had something going up and down, and I'm just adding to it diagonally away from the photo so you can balance out the whole layout. I think it's the Lindsay kit from February last month. Had these teeny tiny die cut hearts, and I couldn't resist using them sort of like enamel dots because I don't want to put enamel dots since I'm using those pearls. I pick up the paper clip, and I think this is about the time that I finally decide what to do. It's just not going to work in any other spot that doesn't already have stuff on it. I don't want it dangling like on the other corner of the photo because it's plain. So I grabbed this little tiny flag. It's got a grid. At first I didn't do that because then I felt like I'm adding too much to the cluster, but I actually end up in the final layout scooting it over a little bit and having a gap, and the worry there I felt was that it would look like it was floating, but it grew on me and I think it looks really good. I walked away, and then when I came back I realized that the photo and its clusters were covering part of the globe stand enough that I felt like it was impeding it from being obviously a globe stand. So I wanted to move it a little bit and also to make it a little smaller. I didn't have much room to cut on the photo, and I'd already printed it several times to get the coloring right, so I didn't want to reprint it. I just trim a little bit off the photo and all the layers and rounded 2 corners. It's just enough to kind of open it up a little bit more, and then I'm going to shift everything up. Let's fast forward over to everything's shifted now, and I'm going to work on the 2 areas that are still kind of not done, the side cluster at the top and then at the base there. For the top, the first thing I needed to figure out is how the papers are going to go. I'm going to have to cut the little circle thing on the tag so it doesn't show. My brain wasn't processing those layers right because the tag was still sticking out from the side of the page. I should have just cut it off right away. So here I go and cut it, and now it seems like, okay, yeah, those are going to work. I grabbed a couple pieces of flare to see if any of them would work, and then I grabbed a second rose gold clip to clip on another teeny flag. I just love how delicate those paper clips are. And the flag is just one more little layer. I'm trying to add more layers to my layers. I've been practicing that. Now it's going to be time to build up the cluster right up there. More flowers, more sprigs. These are the last flowers that kind of matched, and they're both the same size and small. So I was trying to make it work, and I felt like I needed something else. So I'm going to grab a bigger flower cluster that's over here on the right, and I'm going to fussy cut, not the really deep magenta color, but the other 2, so that I can add them, one on the top cluster, one in the middle, and that will help balance those out. Once I settle those in, I'll add 2 more of the tiny die cut hearts. Wasn't sure at first if I should spread them out, but I will nestle them at the bottom there together. I think just doubled up is cute. Now I turn back to flare. There's an infamous best day ever. We always joke about how many best days could there possibly be. But this was my wedding day, and you know, it's pretty deserving for that. Although, to be honest, it was a little bit of a mixed day because a few things happened, as will do on weddings. But overall, one of the best days of my life. I was pretty confident about getting that one flare that has another little bow because that gives me some repetition. Plus that bow is so cute, it's so delicate, and since I couldn't make the acetate bow work, this will. The whole reason why I was making those paper clips work no matter what was to use this rose gold alpha. It's from Dear Lizzie and it's called Memo. I was thinking I would use it as a title after I looked at the large words in the kits and nothing seemed to work. So I'm trying to make this fit here, moving things around, changing things up. I am not keen on those 2 initials though. They feel less delicate and too bright. I finally discarded the idea of using the initials. I tried to make a 3rd flare work, but that seemed misplaced. It was too much in your face without being part of an overall cluster, and it was competing with the bow above it. I realized I needed something that might be a little more grounding, more neutral, and I grabbed the wood veneer that's also Felicity Jane. There's these really nice, delicate, kind of like outline hearts, so I tucked a couple of those in. And the circle with the heart cut out let me add a little silicone heart within it. I didn't center it because then I could overlap the label and the wood veneer with what's now the title, that silicone flag piece. Everything on the base is slightly off-centered, which is always more interesting than like rigidly lining things up. Final touches are some splatters with one of my favorites. It's the Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist in bronze. Matches all the rose gold really well, and I've been using it a lot lately. I do know that my recording cut off. I stamped the date with an October afternoon roller stamp. They have some that are for earlier dates, so this one's October 1st, 2000 I needed a stamp. I have the still photos coming up. Thanks for joining us in celebrating the opening of the new Confessions of a Paper Addict cut file shop on Etsy. I have the link down below. That's COAPA cut files. And there's also a coupon code called WELCOME10 for 10% off your purchase. That's going to be valid till the end of March 31st. And there's a whole bunch of scrappy challenges in the COAPA Facebook group. I'll have the link below as well. There's open to everyone. Prizes include free cut files, a gift certificate from Spiegel Mom Scraps, a Kidholic Kits April Main Kit, Scrapbook.com gift certificates, and amazing scrapbooking products sponsored by Rosie Studio. As I said, all links are below, and in the hop, I think there's 21 people. Next after me is Melissa Vining, so go check hers out and continue the hop. Go subscribe to all these wonderful creatives and give them some thumbs up and comment love, and I'll see you here next time.